Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm going to talk about a Web3 renaissance is yet to come. All right, maybe a few words about me. I started as a traditional artist, joined the NFT space, and have been really passionate about the technology, writing a lot about it, and documenting the space. So it's definitely something I'm extremely passionate about of what's happening right now. So I'm going to talk a little bit where we were, where we are, and what's basically happening right now. If we look at the Renaissance, for me it was always, among other things, it was always like they planted basically the seeds to disperse the concentration of power, which was back then very concentrated on like the church or nobility. And the early years of crypto art felt for me similarly because we had basically, very inspired by the cypherpunks. We had these ideas of like democratizing the art, banking the unbanked, and really challenging these power structures. So the early marketplaces, the years 2018, 2019, they all were about like basically giving access to artists and challenging what was back then centralized monopolies, be it like in art institutions, be it in a tiered gallery system, or be it basically with social media monopolies. And really all of them were kind of working towards one goal, right? They were at the early conferences, they were talking about ideas how we can include more artists, how we can grow, and how we can basically challenge these power structures of the traditional art world. So what is happening right now is, after the 69 million sale, a lot of people poured into the space, and among them were like influencers, Web2 entrepreneurs, scammers. But what really happened is there was a huge influx of money at a time which we didn't have to really establish the values yet. So marketplaces were basically competing almost every week with new marketplaces and turned to venture capital, which was good in one sense that, it advanced some technical standards. We went away from just JPEGs and GIFs towards videos and generative art. But at the same time, the marketplaces changed because it was no longer about like fostering artists or including artists, but it was also about return on investments. So suddenly, it changed the way things were curated. It changed the way which artists were promoted. So it turned in a different alley. At the same time, we saw also that, traditional people were entering the space. There were like, companies like eBay suddenly became players in this field. And artists overnight, which were in sanctioned countries, had to comply to US regulations and were excluded from their access basically to sell their art and their income. So it makes you really question, back then we were celebrating a Web3 renaissance, but right now it feels like we are basically developing in the very opposite course again. And it makes us feel like this real string which holds us back is ourselves, while the Renaissance was all about like shifting the mindset away from a collective towards the individualism and humanism. Maybe the Web3 Renaissance has to do the opposite. Maybe we have to think again about like a greater self and think about like how can we choose and how can we steer the space towards a place which is beneficial to all of us and is not basically overrun right now. I think one of the things I would like to just point out is like to be conscientious, because our most powerful weapon is a choice, and really it should be value oriented. And I think what we need is a lot of more education and a lot of more places for people to learn about these things and to know why is decentralization important? Why should I work with blockchains which are not decentralized and are corporate chains? Like what is this is really about? And I think as we are not providing enough resources to educate people, we cannot expect that things are changing. But I think this is going to be a big area I think we should focus on right now, because I think we're losing ground. So that's why for me I think the Web3 renaissance is still yet to come. Thank you. I guess I have a minute or two for questions if somebody feels so. All right, thank you.